Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 28. Jigyasitatma Yagyato Mune Vyasa Sutad Asao Hitvedam Nripa Gangayam Yasyati Adhakutabhyam Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo Mune Vyasa Sutarasao Mune Vyasa Sutarasao Hitvedam Nipagangayam Hitvedam Nipagangayam Yasyachadakutobayam Yasyachadakutobayam Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo Mune Vyasa Sutarasao Hitvedam Nipagangayam Yasyachadakutobayam
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo Mune Vyasa Sutarasao Hitvedam Nipagangayam Yasyachadakutobayam
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Jigyasitatma Yagyatyo
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Mune Vyasa Sutarasao
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Hitvedam Nipagangayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Yasyachadakutobayam
Jigyasito,
Jigyasito,
having inquired of.
having inquired of.
Atma Yagyat Atma Yatatya,
Atmayatatya,
right knowledge of one's own self.
right knowledge of one's own self.
Mune, from the learned philosopher.
From the learned philosopher.
Vyasa Sutat,
Vyasa Sutta,
the son of Vyasa.
the son of Vyasa.
Asau,
Asau,
he,
he,
Hitva,
Hitva,
quitting.
quitting.
Idam,
Idam,
this material attachment.
this material attachment.
Nripa,
Nipa,
O king,
O king.
Gangayam,
Gangayam,
on the bank of the Ganges.
on the bank of the Ganges.
Yasyati,
Yasyati,
will go.
will go.
Adha,
Adha,
directly.
directly.
Akuta Bhayam,
Akuta Bhayam,
the life of fearlessness.
the life of fearlessness.
Translation. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. Purport. Material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. Philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's own self, or the knowledge of self-realization. Without self-realization, philosophy is dry speculation or a waste of time and energy. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. This material world is fearfulness. Its prisoners are always fearful as within a prison house. In the prison house, no one can violate the jail rules and regulations, and violating the rules means another term for extension of prison life. Similarly, we in this material existence are always fearful. This fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in this material life, in all species and varieties of life, is full of anxieties, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. Liberation or mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. This is only possible when the anxiety is changed in the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us this chance of changing the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. This is done in the association of a learned philosopher, like the self-realized Shukadeva Goswami, the great son of Sri Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit, after receiving warning of his death, took advantage of this opportunity by association with Shukadeva Goswami and achieved the desired result. There is a sort of imitation of this reciting and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam by professional men, and their foolish audience thinks that they will get free from the clutches of material attachment and attain the life of fearlessness. Such imitative hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a caricature only, and one should not be misled by such performance of Bhagavatam Saptaha, undertaken by ridiculous greedy fellows to maintain an establishment of material enjoyment. Jigasitatma yagyarto yatartyo muner vyasa sutadasau hidvedam nripagangayam yasyati adhakutobayam. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. So this is a description of the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, which, being calculated by learned astrologers and other seers, is now being revealed for the pleasure of the parents. Of course, it is pleasurable when there's a good thing to say. If there's something not very good to say about the future life of one's child, better not to say it at all. But in any case, we have to learn to accept the situations that we are placed in by the material energy, by our karma. Therefore, we have to accept sometimes not so pleasant situations, and at other times we may accept extremely pleasant situations. It depends on our activities in the past. Maharaj Parikshit, though, had no such problems. He was from the very birth foretold to be a great, great personality, one of the greatest personalities. However, it will be seen that he will not be attached in a life of fearfulness, even though he is such a great personality. In this material world, people who are great, they sometimes become bewildered by their greatness. They sometimes think of themselves as lords, controllers, masters, and in this way they cannot, with feeling, surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Queen Kunti says that too. That these four things block one or become an obstacle in self-realization. Janma, good birth, Aishwarya, money or opulence, and Sutta means intelligence, learning, education, and Shribi refers to beauty. These four things become blocks on the path of self-realization. So sometimes we find if one is endowed with all good material qualities, that it's generally not good for spiritual realization. That is not to say that only people with no good qualities surrender to Krishna. No. It means that one who understands himself to be materially impoverished, that word is also used in relation to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Niskinchananam bhajanon mukasya. Niskinchana. Akinchana gochara. Both are synonymous. It means one who claims nothing as his own. Even he has good birth, he does not claim that. Even he has great opulence, he does not claim it as his own. Same with knowledge or beauty. He understands that these things are but a spark of splendor emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows that all of these things are but Krishna's energies, which are manifesting by Krishna's grace. And we are lucky to experience some opulence. So that is Krishna. All glories to Sri Krishna. He has given everything. It all belongs to him. Nothing belongs to me. Nothing is mine. Nirmama. So one who is factually great may be endowed with every conceivable kind of good quality, but he will never maintain these good qualities as being his own. This is mine. Because nirmama. Nothing is mine. This is the characteristic of a great soul. He knows nothing is mine. Everything is the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if Krishna has arranged it so that it will manifest here before me, that is all right. And if Krishna arranges it so that it does not manifest before me, then that is all right too. The pure devotee thinks, whatever Krishna wishes for me is what I shall accept. That is the platform of fearlessness. Akuto bhayam. Whereas the platform of fearfulness, bhaya, that which is experienced by everybody in this material world. This is a product of material attachment. When one is attached materially to his body, he must automatically feel fearfulness. Why? Because the body has to die. That makes you fearful. It grows diseased. That makes you fearful. It gets old. That makes one fearful. It becomes cut or harmed, injured. That makes one fearful. All the time, people who are attached to their body are filled with fears. Attachment to the body, attachment to the mind, is a fearful condition of life, and one which does not actually satisfy the conditioned soul. And not only attached to his own body, but attached to others' bodies as well, family members. But that brings him fear too. Especially nowadays, how often is it that the wife stays with the husband stays with the wife? Rare. How often is it that the children remain faithful to the parents and do not grow up to be rascals? Rare. So it makes fear. Fear, oh, I cannot maintain this family anymore. That brings fear. And friends are continuously changing. Controversies arise. Difficulties develop. So also we find that this is bringing fear. And bank balance may be diminished, or everything may be stolen, or the government may take it all away in taxes. That brings fear. Especially when you have money, that brings a lot of fear. Yeah. In the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, he speaks about the great fear that one has when he has money. He has fear that he has no money, so therefore he tries to get it. He thinks he'll conquer fear by having money. But then when he gets money, then another kind of fear comes in. But I'm going to lose it. And he's fearful all the time. Oh, a thief will come in my house. So he has to make big arrangements so the thief shall not come. Big wall, dog barking, video cameras checking out everybody. This means fear. guards. Fearful condition. The poor common man, he doesn't have the big fence and the dog and the electrified this and that and the video and the guard and Anyway, who's going to steal anything from him? But fear comes when you've got something to lose. Yeah. There's a saying in America, if you've got nothing to lose. That, of course, is a paranoid's way of looking at things. The way in which one who's full of fear looks at things. He justifies, well, I've got nothing, so that's good, then I don't lose anything. Because the worst thing is loss, isn't it? No. The worst thing is not losing. Because in fact, sometimes losing is good. For some persons who are very much attached in a way which is harmful for their spiritual life. Loss of that material attachment is a good thing. Even if it hurts. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes we can give up our material attachments gradually by the process of devotional service. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's just pulled out. Oh, the heart. My poor heart. It's not so poor. It's actually lucky. Because to get freed from these attachments, even by force, is a necessary thing. Just like if you have a tooth which is bad. And it's causing you harm in so many ways, this bad tooth. It's making you pain. So to try to maintain the tooth sometimes is not very intelligent. Therefore, it has to be pulled out. But that's no fun. Oh no. That hurts like anything. Ooh, pain. Makes you shake when you think about it. Yanking the tooth out of the mouth, stuck there in the head, and you've got to just... Doesn't want to come. No way. Nowadays they have these very special pneumatic things that just grab the tooth and then just whack, yanks it out. Then all the blood goes. So you think, oh, how horrible. But is it better to leave the tooth in so that it rots and makes your whole mouth go bad? Infections come, whole jaw becomes bad. So it's preventative surgery. It keeps everything from being lost. You have to sacrifice something for something else. Sometimes in our spiritual lives, we have to sacrifice something for the sake of advancement. In fact, that sometimes happens to us often, that we find the things which are very much dear to us from the material point of view are the same things which are causing us to be too much attached in the material world and unable to surrender to Krishna. Therefore, we are pushed by Krishna through his agents to give it up, surrender. The life of Maharaj Parikshit displays the principle, although we can understand he was not at all attached. But just to teach a good lesson and to go back to Godhead, just so that the Srimad Bhagavatam may be spoken and we may understand these same principles, Maharaj Parikshit, although he had all the opulence in all the universe you could possibly imagine, emperor of the whole world, has enough opulence. You couldn't want more. In fact, you couldn't get more if you tried. And he had a wife who resembled the goddess of fortune. He had a home which was so opulent it was beyond our descriptive powers. And he had a family which was first class in every way. What to speak of unlimited bank balances, unlimited armed forces, all kinds of elephants as carriers. In other words, nothing he could have wanted. But due to some mishap, he was cursed by a Brahmin boy, improperly, to die within 7 days. And yet, although he was emperor and could have counteracted the curse, he could have, by his own power, because he was Rajarshi, not just an ordinary king, a king who was also a great rishi as well. He could have counteracted that curse. In fact, that boy's father even offered to help. He could have done so, but he didn't. He accepted it as Krishna's desire. He said, it's Krishna's desire that I must die like this. Therefore, let me find out the way to die properly. So he went to the banks of the Ganges. Hit Vedam, Hitva idam nipagangayam. Hitva, giving up. Prahlad Maharaj told this to his own father, Hiranyakashipu, the big demon. Hitvatma matam grihamanda kupam. Just get yourself out of this pit of material existence and surrender to Krishna. But Maharaj Parikshit, he didn't require to be told twice. In fact, he, out of his own desire, picked himself up out of his palace, departed, didn't even look back, just left it all, and went to the banks of the Ganges and sat himself down, fasting until death, and simply said, all you great sages here, because there were sages assembling from all over the universe, upon hearing the news about Maharaj Parikshit being cursed, that was the biggest news in the universe. In those days, news went fast around the whole universe. Nowadays, news may go fast around the world. And that's only because we have modern radio and other forms of communication. But in those days, word spread quickly amongst the learned community when something big was happening, which was going to expand spiritual life. After all, they all were fully equipped with various forms of powers, so they also knew things by their own. And therefore, all from all parts of the universe, the sages descended. Some from interplanetary travel, some from intercontinental travel, others from local areas. Everybody gathered there. It was a huge assembly of sages. And Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, appeared on the scene. Shukadeva, he was actually quite old at that time. And factually speaking, we were just contemplating how he's the son of Vyasadeva. Well, Maharaj Parikshit's great-grandfather was also the son of Vyasadeva. So they actually were connected by family. But you never even find this mentioned anywhere, that Shukadeva Goswami was on the level of the great-grandfather. He was actually the great-granduncle of Maharaj Parikshit by family. But this was not to be mentioned. Why? Because there is no attachment or consideration of the body. Shukadeva Goswami was the guru of Maharaj Parikshit, spiritual master. He was accepted like that immediately, without any qualms, considerations of any other position. This was the relationship which was established. And Maharaj Parikshit achieved the platform of fearlessness because of that. No attachment to the material existence in any way. Freed from fear. Akutobhayam. It is explained here also this. But adha means directly. Adha akutobhayam. He achieved immediately the life of fearlessness. Within 7 days, he was prepared to go back to Godhead, sitting there meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, when the Takshaka snake, Takshaka snake bit him, hiding. Even though he was perceived by some, he made tricks so they could not understand that he was coming. And he And Maharaj Parikshit, immediately upon receiving that bite, his body was burnt in flames. In yogic chants, the yogis, when they depart from the body in the ways of gaining liberation, their body generally bursts into flames and is consumed as they depart for the higher regions. In that way, their death comes upon them very quickly. They do it by own desire. They want to rid the body, rid themselves of the body. So in that way, Maharaj Parikshit attained the lotus feet of Krishna once again. So he had no problem. We, on the other hand, have plenty of problems. We in this material world, our lives are filled with problems because we're not like Maharaj Parikshit. First of all, we don't have every opulence in the whole existence. So therefore, we sometimes think that our fearful condition is simply due to the fact that we don't have the opulence. Therefore, we make all kinds of arrangements, working hard, just to get the opulence that we think will free us from fear. We even find the materialists make propaganda that if you can just read and write, that will free you from fear. Education will free you from fear and poverty. But factually we can see, you may educate somebody like a cat and a dog. That will not free him from fear. Formerly, there were not so many people with so many mental diseases. All of them based on fear. All different paranoias and schizophrenias, neuroses, are all just based on fear, the fear principle. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, or fearing. So, now that we're all very educated, the mental diseases are just building up more and more and more and more. Psychiatric business is big money. People just come left and right to your door. Being educated does not free one from fear. In fact, it may make one more afraid. Just like an uneducated man. For instance, if there's fallout, what does he know? It looks the same to him. He's not afraid. Ignorance is bliss. He's thinking everything's all right. But one who knows factually what's in the world today, the different ozone destructions, microwave contaminations, radiations, waste contaminations, chemical waste contaminations, all kinds of dust particles suspended in the air. Anything, water everything everywhere can give you trouble. Therefore, it's all a big fearful thing. One who's got knowledge, he becomes more afraid because he can see there's so many things to be afraid of. Whereas an unintelligent man, he's not afraid of anything because he has no brain. So, we don't really understand what are the causes of fear. The causes of fear are that we are not situated in our natural position beyond fearfulness. We are situated in a temporary position which has no standing, safety at any moment. The whole thing can just be finished off. Life in his body can be finished in a moment. Fearfulness comes when one doesn't know who he is. It's also understood in terms of psychology. Because I don't know my own identity, I've got no security or safety. Always reaching out, searching out, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this is me, that's me. It is a known fact that not being secure within oneself means he doesn't know how to deal with others either. When one is peaceful within himself, he's peaceful towards others. When one is all agitated within himself, then he's agitated towards others too. So peace and freedom from fear are requirements in order to be happy. There's no question of happiness without peace. There's no question of happiness without fearlessness. These things are required. Therefore, one in the material world is always filled with fear and never happy because of it. These are one of the major qualities of the material world, is the fearful condition. Therefore it is stated, Vitaraga, Bhaya, Krodha. The three things that have to be overcome, or which are overcome when one is actually engaged in devotional service, is attachment, fear, and anger. Then one can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, when he's freed from these things. Many great sages and saintly persons in the past have also been freed from such fearful conditions of life. Bhavo jnana tapasa, by the performance of knowledge and austerity. They have become putam, madbhav magata, attaining Krishna consciousness by being purified. Purification means freed from fear. Being freed from fear means knowing who you are. Knowing that you are Krishna's eternal servant and that Krishna is taking care of us. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Masucha. I will free you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Krishna says, I free you. I protect you, in other words. The only thing you've got to fear anyway is we only have to fear our own sinful reactions. We only have to fear, in other words, ourselves. Material selves, which did material things in the material past and made material reactions, which are going to materially suffer like anything in our material body, in the material world. This is Maya. So that we have to fear. But when one is Krishna conscious and engaged in Krishna's service, he's free from fear because he's free from the necessity of having to suffer all of these reactions. Because Krishna says, I protect you. I protect you from those sinful reactions. Do not fear. And then one sees everything that occurs. One sees everything that is manifesting as Krishna's energy, Krishna's direct mercy upon the conditioned souls. Krishna directly gives us mercy by which we can overcome the fearful condition of life. Akutobayam. Ichitam akutobayam. You can attain it by Harinama Nukirtanam. Chanting the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And chant, really. Not artificial form of bouncing mantras off the wall. Actually putting mantra in the ear. Hearing the Hare Krishna mantra will bring one to a platform very quickly of fearlessness. A platform beyond all contact with the material energy. Beyond the contamination of the material energy. That is real spiritual life. And that platform was attained by Maharaj Parikshit immediately upon hearing that he would die in 7 days. Would we be so capable if we heard we were also to die in 7 days? If somebody said you had to die in 7 days due to some cause, what would you do? Probably the first thing would be to figure out, like anything, how to prevent that cause from happening. The next thing would be to lament a lot. But if one is really a devotee, he will simply chant Hare Krishna for 7 days, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, be only engaged in spiritual activities for self-realization, and go back home, back to Godhead, without any other connection or attachment. Fasting until death is very good. Because then one has no strength. The senses have no strength to be attached. Because after all, at death, things get a little bit disturbing, or disturbed, or not very secure in the body. And if one is just weak like that, physically, then he can really concentrate his intelligence out of helplessness on the lotus feet of the Lord like a small child. In helplessness, calls out to Mother for protection. And in full condition of helplessness, one surrenders to Krishna. Of course, if that sounds frightening, then just keep chanting Hare Krishna. And gradually, the purification will take place. Hopefully you've got some years to go. We cannot guarantee, this is not the business of the Krishna consciousness movement, to guarantee your span of life. We give no guarantees how long you've got, but hopefully you've got some time. In any case, you should live as if you didn't. An intelligent person lives as if he could die tomorrow. And when he's engaged in foolish activities, he realizes, what would happen if I were to die right in the middle of all this? Straight to animal species, no doubt. Therefore, I'd better be very careful to make sure that I'm always engaged in progressive activities of spiritual realization which are going to bring me to the topmost platform of life. So, Krishna consciousness movement gives us the facility by which we can do that together and gradually go back home, back to Godhead, and bring as many others as we can with us, engaged nicely in this spiritual activity. So, we should also follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit. Even if we're not cursed to die, we're going to die anyway. We may not be cursed to die in 7 days, but we're cursed to die at one point. By our karma has cursed us. In fact, we have cursed ourselves. We, in the old days, some time back, cursed ourselves by our activities to have a duration of life of just so long. Now you take that body, we said to ourselves. So we are in the same condition, but we just don't realize it. Now we have to be very serious and sincere, determined, dedicated. Everything will come. All spiritual ability, all spiritual knowledge, all spiritual renunciation and strength will come to he who actually tries very hard to surrender to Krishna. So that is our business. Are there any questions? Better to just try and do whatever has been given to you as service. Then automatically those attachments will either be purified or exposed within the service. Not that you have to go through great psychological studies. That's also sense gratification, isn't it? Ooh, I'm attached here, I'm not attached, I'm this here and I'm not there. My mind. Better you just engage in your service, and then purification will take place. And where it doesn't take place, there will be tests given by Krishna, so that you will be face to face with your attachments and having to purify them. Then you'll know, for sure. When your attachment's facing you right in the face, you'll know. Yes, but how can you lose Krishna? Fall down, You should always be deathly afraid of falling down into Maya. That fear you should have, yes, but that's not material fear, that's spiritual fear. So that's good. What is the symptom of a person who maintains the opulences for himself? What does that mean? Opulence you don't maintain, you've got. How do you maintain a good birth? It happened already. Maybe you mean maintaining bodily beauty. But you don't maintain beauty, you just cover over the ugly. Like with makeup and stuff like that. What did you mean by this? Symptom of a person who doesn't understand is obvious. Because he's very much attached. He doesn't want to surrender to Krishna. Like one with great opulence never thinks he needs anything else. He doesn't have to listen to anybody because he's got everything. Especially learned persons, they think themselves very great. They don't have to hear anything from Srila Prabhupada. That is Maya. Symptom is no humility to surrender to Krishna. Because one thinks, I'm protected by my opulences. These my opulences, they will protect me. I don't require to surrender to Krishna. I've got everything I need. You want some other specific thing? Okay. Was it a stupid question last time? Uh-huh. Book distribution related to Varnashram Dharma? Well, actually it has very little to do with Varnashram Dharma, if anything at all. It's pure transcendental activity. But by distributing these books, then people will understand that their society is in chaos and they need Varnashram Dharma. Or at least they need something bona fide, because they're all speculations isn't working. So, by engaging everybody in reading these books and understanding spiritual knowledge, then they can actually understand how to organize society in a proper way, and they may do so. But as far as an activity within Varnashram Dharma, it's not really like that. For instance, Brahmanas would never engage in selling anything. And yet, the Vaishyas would never engage in distributing Vedic literatures. So this is something which has nothing to do with Brahman, Vaishya, or anything else. It's a pure activity of transcendence. It cannot be classified. But if it had to be classified, it would be Brahminical. But that's also an insult. Not a very big one. Only one. Pretty good. If you only had one question that you didn't know, that's pretty good. We should give a test and find out if that's true. At least one, all right. How can you be transcendental if you're in the mode of passion? It's from the platform of goodness that pure goodness develops, transcendence. It's not that one goes directly from ignorance to transcendence. Or passion to transcendence. And it's never purely existing. It's always existing mixed. You never find pure goodness in the material world, only mixed goodness. And that mixture brings it to the platform of fruitive activities. We're one by engagement in pious acts, by good karma. That's goodness. But he goes to the heavenly planets. That's his goal. So therefore it's material. Because they're still within the material universe. Although very nice places. So just being in the mode of goodness, that's not good enough. But it's a good platform upon which to climb up to transcendence. Don't misunderstand the necessity for enthusiasm and strength to be passion. Don't think just because you've got to do something and endeavor hard, that means you're passionate. And don't think that a man in the mode of goodness just floats around all day with harps playing in the background. Ding, ding, ding. He may act, he may endeavor, he may do so many things. That's also goodness. To endeavor for spiritual perfection. Endeavor for spiritual knowledge. Endeavor to help others. Endeavor to just keep this Krishna consciousness movement going on. That's also goodness. Although one may externally have to do activities which may resemble something passionate. It's like the other day somebody said Lord Brahma was in the mode of passion. Lord Shiva was in the mode of ignorance. These are great aparads. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are not at all in the mode of passion or ignorance. They are in Suddha-sattva. But they are the lords of those modes of nature. Therefore sometimes they put on the characteristics of those modes in order to act within those modes. And maybe some little contamination may be there, found tiny little, slight little, tiny little speck in the very farthest, remotest corner of once Lord Brahma did something. This is not the symptom of a man in passion. So therefore, one should understand that one may, from the transcendental platform, act in any position for the satisfaction of Krishna. It's like Arjuna's out there killing all kinds of people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Does that mean he's in the mode of passion? He's already in pure transcendence. He's got Krishna as his chariot driver. But if you are in the mode of passion, then you better get out of it. That doesn't mean if you're doing Krishna's service that you're freed from all the modes of nature. It means you're pretty good. You're in pretty good shape. But if you're still contaminated by the mode of passion, don't think, well, I'm transcendental. Get out of that mode of passion. Come up to the mode of goodness. But keep on doing your service. That's the point. It's not that if you're doing that service, you're automatically in the mode of passion. No. But if you're in the mode of passion, doing the service doesn't mean you're automatically transcendental. You have to attain the transcendental platform. So come out of the mode of passion. Come out of even the mode of goodness, but get to it. And go beyond to the transcendental platform. So it's his fault when you don't do so good one day. I know what you were going to ask, but answer me this. So it's his fault when you don't do so good one day. Because it's all Krishna's. Huh? Then it's not just Krishna who's distributing these books. If it was Krishna distributing these books, what does he need you for? You think he needs you? Krishna doesn't need you. He's giving you he's allowing you the mercy to be his agent to distribute the books. Yes, what's your question? Oh, agent of Krishna? Because they're better agents. See, when you get the right basis, the question's easy to answer, isn't it? If you come up with a mental speculation, which it certainly is, that it's Krishna who's distributing all the books, then it doesn't make sense. Why does Krishna distribute more books and Krishna distribute less books? At least you would think he would do the same amount. But that's absurd. It's ridiculous. Some people are better agents than others. And those who are better agents, they distribute more books. So it was true, there was only one question. No questions, you have no questions. During the week you never have a little argument about something. It's this or that. Does anyone ever discuss anything? Doubt? Or we just read the books quick to get them over with? Yes? First of all, they were instructed directly, Sanatana Rupa Goswamis, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He taught them personally. And they went through all of the Purana, Nana Shastra, Vicharanaika Nipano, Sadharma Samstapako. They established what was actually the proper dharma, religious principles for this age of Kali, from Lord Chaitanya, and going through all of the Vedic literatures. They went through every single Vedic literature. They didn't speculate, no. Yeah. The same people ask questions all the time. Generally, people do not go back to Godhead in one lifetime. And generally, devotees who are in this Krishna consciousness movement also were doing it in the past. In previous lifetimes, they had contact with the Vedic literatures, contact with Krishna consciousness somehow or another. And when they see this movement in their new birth, they become immediately attracted. And they want to take it up. And they don't even understand themselves why it is. So why should I be attracted to this? Actually, whatever I'm doing is completely different than this. But still I'm attracted. Well, it's because, sure, you're being attracted by your previous development of knowledge. Divine consciousness was developed to a certain extent. Therefore you're attracted by it as soon as you see it. Therefore persons who come into contact for the first time, they may look puzzled, inquisitive. They may wonder. Therefore in our preaching we have to be patient, because it's not everybody will just run into the door and go, "Eureka, I found it!" That's the rare person. Otherwise generally people they will just look, nod their head in appreciation, smile. You can see it also in those persons who come. Like here in Göteborg we've seen for years. Some persons will come steadily for years and years and years and years to the Sunday feast. They will be friends of Krishna eternally. They will never make that step forward in this lifetime, because they're not that advanced. But the more they chant Hare Krishna, even in this one lifetime, they gradually start taking up more and more. Although it may take them 50 years what it takes anybody else 5 years, but it's still, they can do a lot within this lifetime. And if they are chanting Hare Krishna at the time of death, it's straight back to God. Madness. What do you mean madness? Like craziness or anger? Berserk. Well, that's a tough one. You should never let yourself go berserk. Huh? You have to make sure that before you go berserk, you have to just... Prabhupada once said, run out into the forest and scream Hare Krishna. Instead of going berserk in the temple. Why go berserk? Well, one may become very frustrated. And the modes of material nature may arrange themselves in such a way that pressures come upon one. Material pressures, especially if one is doing something very nice in Krishna consciousness. Maya will push like anything. Maya will try like anything to slap you around in the face, back and forth, and throw you against the wall. So one has to be very, very strong. But sometimes it just gets so bad, one just doesn't know what to do, and it's just, Maya is just making so much trouble. At that point, run into the nearest forest and scream, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna! Vedic therapy. Maya's like that. When you really get into book distribution, doesn't Maya make every kind of trick on earth to stop you? Every conceivable trick, isn't it? Like anything, just to stop you. The mind just starts getting, like anything, weird things you've never thought of in your life, just all of a sudden pop into your head. How could I have thought of that? Well, that wasn't you, that was Maya tricking you. Just in the same exact way when these mystic yogis are in the forest meditating and they're becoming very powerful, Indra sends the apsaras, telling them, go down there and break up this business. He's getting too powerful. Testing is going on like that all the time. When one starts developing some potencies. Just like they say, it is a known fact that as soon as you take sannyas, immediately girls become more attracted to you. It's one of the biggest problems. It's testing all the time. And therefore at one point one just gets really disgusted with that. And as soon as one has opulence in any way, potency, spiritual opulence or potency, immediately Maya starts drilling on that point. So one should expect it. As soon as you go out into the preaching field and you start getting success, so many problems will come. And to conquer them, that brings great, enormous strength. And to surrender to them, Maya won. So we should not surrender to Maya. No, no, no! Even if it's tough. Even if Maya's got us by the throat and just, surrender! No! No! After all, what can they do? What can Maya do? At one point, Maya becomes very, favorably disposed upon us. And says, all right, I let go a bit. And then Krishna starts using Maya, that just in case you were becoming more attached in the material world again, Krishna will send some more Maya to get you waking up again. Understand? So you should see it as test. Don't you have some experience like that? Yes. Everybody has some experience like that, no? No? Oh. Just checking. Half-day fast is not so bad, isn't it? And that's no problem. You just take lunch. Bigger lunch. Chaturmasya, I don't know. Prabhupada wasn't too impressed with Chaturmasya. But then again in his books he said, at least you should follow something. So that's a question. If you like, you should. We would recommend it. Not very difficult. But more than half-day fast, no. The Sankirtaners is 12 noon rule. They started to make this moonrise fast because of just accepting somebody else's opinion. They just made it to moonrise, which makes it more difficult. Then it's not possible to distribute like that. But our big appearance days, then everybody's in the temple anyway, so we all follow. But we always follow Ekadasis. Don't speculate that one, just in case anybody was cooking up a good one. Yes?
Are there any special workers how much have you for distributing books?
If one wants to distribute books for the rest of his life, he just has to want to do it. And when you want to do it, then all the qualities come automatically. You may not any longer be everything for them, making all of the facilities available, and arranging that others will also distribute more, making newer and newer distributors. Your whole life will simply be for book distribution, although you may be doing other things. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't mind if everybody was just distributing books. That's all we had. I would just go from traveling party to traveling party. I would have an enormous good time. But we have to make them also, and that means many things. And then there are other problems like family life, and then there has to be big temples, and we're not that fanatic. There has to be some leeway for everybody to have his place in Krishna consciousness, because everybody won't go out and distribute books. That's the problem. From our personal opinion, we'd love it if that's all there was. But we have to make them too, and that means a lot of technology, enormous amounts of technology. The way we do it with so few people. That has to be there.
Why is it that it looks like very difficult the last years to get you?
Yes, it's difficult because people are degrading. It's only the higher class of man that can do this activity. And because people are mainly Sudras, they think that this book distribution, anybody can do that. But that's not so. Only the highest class of man can do it. And it's proven throughout the years. That doesn't mean the most technically advanced or the greatest scholars, but it is a fact that our Sankirtan devotees generally know much more philosophically than others. Just like all those who are distributing books, they are never involved in all of these little scandals. As you live in the temple and you're not engaged in preaching activities, you may be involved in various scandals. At one point in time, everybody there gets some scandal or another. And those who are out on book distribution, there's never a scandal. Or little tiny ones. Yes.
Thinking of how to maintain the active type of Sankirtan at the same, because that is the body is tired and
Old man. Then one has to get the situation where he can distribute books in a less physically tiring method.
I think I can call like anything for that you ready.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah.
So that's make it crack.
What do you mean? You crack your health?
No, not the health.
Strength?
Reduce the power of the body.
It reduces. Yeah. What's the question? It's going to reduce. Yeah.
And the way when you do little less hours or
Whatever it takes, just keep going. You can figure out other ways to distribute which don't require so much physical effort, but you're not an old man yet, you're still young.
one time when I was a sportsman, I was training so much that actually the bone broke, the crack in the bone. I was training so much.
That's fanatic. And what did you get out of all that running? A newspaper article. So that's bothering you again?
I'm not the same, but I feel that.
Yes, there does come a stage when one has been on Sankirtan maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Huh? 6 years. You should ask the grand old man of Sankirtan here. The old veteran of many wars. He also collapsed on the battlefield. In fact, one day we made him collapse on the battlefield. I'm going to tell you a story about this grand old veteran. It was 10 years ago. Let's see, it was 10 years ago. He was going out like such a fanatic. You think you're a fanatic? You think he's a fanatic? He's just a kid compared to this fanatic. So anyway, this fanatic was going out there like mad, non-stop, just distributing. But he had this disease where he always had a fever. And he was always sick all the time. But he just refused to stop. So one day he came in my office, and it was in the Schloss. I had a little office there. And then he started talking. And I was sitting there listening. And not one word he said made any sense. And he was going on and going to have a really good time talking. He was really happy about everything. But nothing made any sense. So I listened patiently, and I listened patiently. About a half an hour I'm listening to him go on. It was like the biggest insanity that I'd ever heard. So I said, and you feel all right, huh? He said, well, yeah. I said, okay, now we're going to put you upstairs in a room for 1 week, and you're not going to come out, not for any reason. We're going to bring you prasadam, we're going to bring you water, we're going to bring you everything you need, we'll wash your clothes. You're not going to get out of the room. You're now in jail. And we brought him upstairs personally, locked him up, threw him in the room, and threw away the key. And if he had to go out to go to the bathroom, we had a guard. He was even going to climb out the window once to go on Sankirtan. We had an armed guard there to keep him in the room. He used to sometimes beg to come into my office. Then he could beg me to let him go out. I said, forget it, get back up in your room. So it happens even to the best of you. Even if you're a big, big fanatic, the body just doesn't let it go on. At one point, the body just, So one has to act in such a way that he thinks long term, not to get burned out. Yeah? Therefore, one has to, when he's feeling himself in this horrible exhaustion, which can come by doing too much physical activity, at that time, take a couple of days off. And just keep yourself in a horizontal position with a couple of books nearby. Or sit and read peacefully, just for some days. Just let some days go by. And take a good rest. And then go out again. That's sometimes necessary. I see sometimes in the class, you're trying to give a class and then one. So we say, go take rest. What are you doing? Killing yourself. Sankirtan men should anyway take 7 hours rest. And they should do it earlier. Not that they should get up later. They should go to bed earlier. And get up at the right time. Yeah. And then they should, if they get in this total state of exhaustion, they must take a break. I think 3 days of a good rest is required every now and then, and that's enough. Don't take longer, otherwise you go completely into... Then you start thinking yourself sickly. Take 3 days of rest, but not just doing nothing. Reading, chanting. On those days of rest, try to chant 25, 32, 48 rounds. And read in between. Chant 16 rounds, read for an hour. Chant 16 more rounds, read for an hour. Very good rest. You feel very enlivened. But this is when you're in the exhaustion state. That's the emergency. When you're just about to be finished. But then as far as maintenance goes, one can always, every day, be very steady in his activity and having sufficient time for rest. And sufficient time for hearing and chanting. Sufficient time for reading. That must be there like a steady basis. And then he can go out. And when he's starting to get older, old man, gray hairs, teeth falling out, then he can go out less. Is that okay, Gramps? He doesn't feel like a Gramp. How old are you? 30. Oh my God, 31. Old age home, here we come. I think Prabhupada said up until 45 you're a young man. Of course he was 80 when he said that. It's all relative, you know. How long? Well, you shouldn't go below half an hour. Fix that bottom limit. You tried every day an hour. But not that you just, you're reading and your eyes are just, and the brain is off. Concentrated. In the morning it's concentrated. Any other time of the day it's not. Not so good. Or night, then it's good. Yeah. Reading at night is also good. If you're not, if you're enlivened. Not if you're just... No. Yes.
Do you like this studying these
Something. Personally, I just like to read. Depends on you. If you need something to help you study, depends on what you're studying for. But it's good. I hate anything that resembles school. Sometimes I have nightmares of being back in the university. All right, Harikesa.